I'm on the Astro theme site, and I'm looking today at Erich von Däniken, who was born April 14th, 1935, I believe. He was the author of the Chariots of the Gods and nearly 24 other books that are of similar ilk, where he's looking for the participation in extraterrestrials in early civilizations around the world. Not in Europe particularly, but in other less developed, quote unquote, places in the world. First of all, Sun conjunction Uranus. That often happens in someone who has very unusual ideas, who is oftentimes criticized in the press, etc. Just not a fully understood figure. But look at this. Mercury, the planet of the mind, the planet of communication, is right on his midheaven. That's MC, Midya Chili, or the middle of the heavens, the point above the point of the zenith at the time of birth. Well, anyway, that is Mercury right there. Now, the closer a planet is to one of these cardinal places, such as the midheaven, the ascendant, the descendant, the IC, or the nadir, the more powerful that planet is. Well, with Mercury there, Mercury's a neutral planet. Isn't always good, isn't bad. It sometimes can be very sly in nature. It can be a deceiver. Anyway, the Mercury at the midheaven means he will be seen by the world. His secrets will come out. The secrets could also be the Sun Uranus. These are in the 10th house. Notice the 10th house is what person's occupation, what they do for a living, and what they look like in the world. And here he has these three planets lined up. He was also born with Pluto, which is a planet of compulsions and intensity. Sometimes this intensity is guided into some mysterious and unusual pathways in life. It is in 23 degrees and 51 minutes of Cancer, and so the actual ascendant is 28 degrees 46 minutes, so it's within the 5 degrees. So I hold to that theory that if the planet is within 5 degrees of the rising sign, then it counts as rising. So Pluto right on the rising sign gives him incredible intensity for the things that he wants to do. Some may interpret this as him being his ego is needs to be gratified. His ego is large. He needs to make an impact on the world, and sometimes he can even, dare I say, use other people. He can use other people with this kind of thing. How did this take place? How did he use other people? I think that in certain ways he was challenged ethically because he was arrested in his life 3 times that we know of, once as a teenager, twice in adulthood, for things like fraud and theft and forgery. If you go to Wikipedia, you can find out more about Erich von Däniken's career. It's hardly a career of crime, but it's just that at certain times when he needed to, when it seems as though he gave in to temptation. Well, I would say anyone with Pluto rising or angular Pluto like this could give in to temptation. If we don't want to say that Pluto's rising, if we're hardcore about Pluto being 12th house, this is the 12th house above the rising sign, then that means that the Pluto emphasis is on the subconscious mind and the secrets and the skeletons in the closet and things like that. So it works. Pluto works either rising or in the 12th house. Both of those make total sense. He also has Venus in 27 Taurus, which likes to take things easy. Venus in 27 Taurus, in Taurus, typically wants to have an easy life. And it's opposed by Jupiter, and Jupiter is a planet of wealth. Venus is a planet of pleasure, so he needs to gratify that Venus-Jupiter opposition. And how does that take place? It takes place with this Mercury. Now, will he get away with it, or is he going to write things that are going to be mocked and criticized? Well, across the way from Mercury is Mars. Mars is in 13 degrees of Libra. Mercury is in 10 degrees of Aries. Aries and Libra, as you see, are opposites. So there's a fundamental clash there. Mars can be the authorities. Mars can be his critics. Mars opposing Mercury also brings a lot of anger and frustration into his life. His writings, which are so prolific, are simply not received as well by the authorities, by the critics, by the Mars types. The public kind of likes it, but not so much the authorities and the experts. Why did he choose a topic like aliens and things that go off the edge? Well, it's because when he was born, Moon here was in a conjunction with Neptune, and whenever I see the Moon with Neptune, that's a person who hears mysterious. Well, it's not that he actually hears voices, but it says he can hear a music that only he can hear a music that nobody else can hear. So I think that has something to do with him. Then he has Saturn opposite the Moon. There's some frustrations there. There's some frustrations in his early life. Something about his mother, something about his father, that didn't work out perfectly well. So anyway, very interesting chap, and definitely a public figure, but definitely with things like Sun-Uranus conjunction, Moon opposite Neptune, Jupiter, Moon conjunction Neptune, and Mercury-Mars opposition, that showed that he would be involved in some problematic experiences. So thank you very much for looking in. Remember to find me at edaugusts.com. Look for my planetary combinations and astrology charts on Kindle. That's Planetary Combinations and Astrology Charts. It's a Kindle ebook. Thanks so much.